Who decided a steamed bun has to be steamed? Because in Taiwan, one old school shop completely flips that idea upside down. Instead of putting their giant mantou inside a normal steamer, they stick each piece directly onto the scorching hot walls of a massive iron pot. There's fire underneath, water inside, and somehow, the same bun gets cooked by both methods at once. The technique is so unusual that people passing by for the first time often stop and stare, wondering if they've stumbled onto some kind of street performance. But the first thing that really catches your attention is the size. These aren't ordinary little breakfast buns. Each one starts with almost half a kilogram of dough. That's enough dough to make a normal man to look tiny. The dough first goes through a pressing machine again and again until its surface becomes incredibly smooth. Then the master baker takes over. He slowly rolls the dough from one end, keeping his hands moving with steady pressure until he creates one long, perfectly even roll. But the next step is where things get really interesting. The baker and his assistant grab opposite ends of the dough and carefully pull it apart. At first, it looks like they're simply stretching it so it will be easier to cut. But that's not what's really happening. Inside the dough is a network of gluten strands. Pulling the dough helps straighten and reorganize those strands, giving the finished bun a much more even structure. And if you've made it this far, don't just watch and disappear. Hit that like button and subscribe. It takes literally 1 second, and it helps this little channel bring you more crazy food stories like this. Now watch what happens when these giant buns finally meet the iron pot. The stretched dough is divided by weight, making sure every portion is almost exactly the same size. Each piece is then placed in the baker's hands, rolled and pressed repeatedly until it takes on the shape of a small white radish. It may look simple, but this is where years of experience really matter. The surface needs to be smooth and firm enough for the dough to stay attached to the hot iron wall throughout the cooking process. And once every piece is ready, the real show begins. The baker carefully takes each piece of dough and presses it around the inside of the giant iron pot. One after another, the buns form a perfect circle around the walls, sitting shoulder to shoulder like soldiers lined up for inspection. Then comes the part that makes this cooking method so unusual. The baker slowly pours a carefully measured amount of water into the center of the pot. The amount has to be precise. Too much, and the water can interfere with the buns. Too little, and there won't be enough steam to cook them properly. Once the water is in, the huge lid comes down. The fire underneath immediately starts heating the iron. The bottom of the pot becomes extremely hot, directly roasting the lower side of every bun. Before long, that bottom develops a beautiful golden brown crust. But while the bottom is roasting, something completely different is happening above it. The water inside the pot is turning into steam. Because the pot is covered, the steam fills the enclosed space with intense heat and moisture, gently cooking the upper part of the buns until they're soft, airy, and fluffy. So the bottom gets roasted, while the top gets steamed. The same bun is experiencing two completely different cooking methods at exactly the same time. And that's the secret behind these traditional pot-baked mantou. A modern steamer can produce soft buns, but it can't easily recreate that combination of direct heat underneath and steaming heat above. After enough time has passed, the baker finally lifts the lid. A huge cloud of white steam bursts out of the pot, carrying the smell of freshly cooked dough mixed with a deep toasted aroma. As the steam slowly clears, the finished buns appear. They're plump and pale on top, while underneath is a gorgeous amber-colored crust. The outside is slightly firm and chewy, but the inside is incredibly soft and airy. Break one open and you'll see tiny, evenly distributed air pockets throughout the center. Then comes the moment that makes all those steps worth it. The first bite gives you that satisfying crack from the crispy bottom. And honestly, after seeing this, would you still call it just a steamed bun?